This is pretty. I'm not getting a whole lot of yield out of this because you can see the how bad twisted it was, but it definitely made for a pretty piece of wood. And now I'm gonna stand here for a minute trying to decide what I want to do with it, because that's just gorgeous. All right, guys, welcome to the Best Family Homestead. So out here milling some wood. And Robert just got here.
This is some bull right here.
He walks up and I'm like, what? No, come on. Why are you wearing my shirt?
I walk up there, he's like, no, I gotta go change. I gotta go change. I'm like, no, don't change. So
we don't plan this. Like,
no.
I actually had the time I look and like, what will he not be wearing today?
Like this. I would not be wearing this today. Oh
man.
I had to dress somewhat nice to go handle some business and then come and see this.
Yeah. Yep.
So embarrassing.
And honestly, I usually just throw on the very first thing that I find in the laundry basket that's clean.
So close.
So I was milling on this log, and you can see how crooked it is. Wasn't getting much yield out of it as far as the 2x4s and stuff, but this was such a pretty, the grain is so pretty in this that I just didn't want to let it go to waste. Here, let's scoot this thing back.
Pull this back.
Yeah. It'd be much easier to show it off, and we're going to have to move it anyway. There we go. And you can see, I haven't seen a lot of poplars like this with this much of the pith wood. And this is all called pith wood, the lighter color wood. You find a lot more of that on hickories, walnuts. I mean, sometimes in the poplars, but this is just very defined. Now the colors won't stay, unfortunately. It'd be awesome if the color would stay. They'll still be slightly different shades.
It'll lose that kind of yellowish.
It'll lose the yellow color, but you'll still, once I oil it, the grains will still pop.
Right.
So I'm gonna hand over camera duties to Robert there, and I'll show you guys what we're going to be doing today. So Husqvarna is still at the shop, and as you guys know, I managed to get a new saw, and it's a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier duty. I haven't been able to use that chainsaw mill much in a very long time because I haven't had a big enough saw to use it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to sharpen up our chainsaw. And all this is, it basically all it does is hold the chainsaw. So I'm going to clamp the bar, the chainsaw bar here and here. And you can see how long it's been since I've used it. It's been hanging in the garage and it's still rusted like this. And so the saw will go sideways in here. And then I'll just hold the chainsaw and I'm just going to push it down the log, set the depth I want. I'm going to cut this. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm making a slab. And I'm going to make 2 slabs, 3 if I have enough room, because one of the things that I like to do is make live edge furniture. So I'm going to use some of these to make a dining room table. Put 2 pieces together and maybe do some of the epoxy pour or something in it. I think that'd be really pretty, especially with this kind of unique grain here, where this old poplar had so many knots and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go on time lapse here for just a few minutes because I'm going to need to sharpen this chainsaw blade really good. Even though it's pretty new, I don't have what's called a skip tooth chain for this, which is what makes it a little bit easier for milling. So basically, like every other chain or every other tooth would be missing. It's not great for, cutting fast or, cutting regular wood, but what it does, it gives it a little bit more room to clear out the sawdust. So it'll be a little bit little bit more frustrating, a little bit slower for slabbing with this chain, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's nice and sharp. And I've been using a saw, so I need to tighten the chain up, do a little bit of work, and then I'm going to show you guys how you will hook up and adjust the chainsaw mill. And then we'll do something that well, this will be a first for my video, for my channel anyway. We have not used the chainsaw mill yet, and I've been looking forward to doing it. So that nothing easy about doing this. However, now we've got one nice clean board, and actually I guess I had you take that up too fast. Roberts, just set it up right here. We'll pull it off so I can see it. I jumped the gun. Well, let's take this one back that way. That way we can cut the next one.
Let's see. There we go. Right camera angle.
Take it back. Actually, set it on the floor.
Don't flip it over.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I gotta say, I'm impressed. It didn't leave as bad a marks as I expected.
No, it didn't. You know, it's still bumpy, like you can feel it.
Yeah.
And I'll show you guys a little bit. You saw us having to rock this thing back and forth a lot. And there was a reason for that. One, this is the chain that came on this saw. Hadn't had time to go get my chain like I usually run with these. So you can see these little doodads right there. That's for anti-kickback. I'm sure there is a reason, like if you haven't used the saw much, but they also help hold the sawdust. So with this, on top of this being a regular chain instead of a skip tooth for slabbing, it also has those little anti-kickback attachments. So that's why it took that was a little bit harder than maybe normally. But you could hear the saw speed up when we'd go back one way, and that's because it unclogged with the sawdust. It let all the sawdust shoot out. And you see through it, like that's all just from that one log. So a whole lot of just regular sawdust. So now, and you can see like how we were rocking. Let's see, that's what I was talking about. Like where we're having to rock it a little bit. So I cut it an extra little bit of, gave an extra little bit of depth. That way, once it dries, go over it with on the routing table. And I think that two of these together with lead the live edge and with a river pour, I think that'd be a really, really pretty table.
I think so.
So, well, are you chilly anymore?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little bit chilly, but this will definitely
warm you up.
Warm you up. And one thing about it, when as hard as that thing's pulling, as strong as this saw is, it definitely stretched that chain out a little bit. So we'll go ahead and flip this thing over. We'll tighten the chain up, and then we'll get the next slab cut, which should be a little bit easier because it's not quite as thick. General idea for my table, and I'll have to play with, you know, how I turn the pieces. Might turn this piece back in, just play to see, you know, how it looks the best. But my plan is once I get it dried, you know, I'll take all the bark off And I usually don't square the edges on my river tables. I may or may not, so depending on, you know, how I feel it would work. But in the center, I will pour a river, an epoxy river. I like doing like blues with, you know, veins and stuff in it. But I think that will be a very pretty unique table. I'll make some cool metal legs for it. And we're going to try, I think, and go ahead and, since we're getting smaller, this piece also is very pretty. By the time we get 2 inches down on the bottom, it's not going to be real wide. But for, and I've been promising my wife a pretty table for a long time, but I think this would make a really pretty matching like shelf, you know, to go in the dining room too. What do you think, Robert?
Oh, it's a gorgeous piece of wood.
It would be awesome if, like, because it is going to dry and the colors aren't going to stay, but it would be just so cool if you could get the purples, especially on this piece, like the purples and blues to stay in it, because that is really, really pretty.
And these, even though the color won't stay, you'll still be able to see this.
You'll still be able to see all the grains in it. This was the very, like, towards the top of that poplar, and it was wasn't in the woods, it was out in the homestead, and that's why it had so many branches. You know, it was out in the open and had branched all over the place, and so that's where you started getting all these old knots, you know, and then it grows over the knots. Okay, one more. We can get, I'm telling you, that's tiring.
Right, it is.
That is tiring.
I've got the light in.
I think on this, I was about to say, I think on this one, I'll let Mr. Robert get a hold of the business
heavy
end of the saw and go to town.
All right.
And now we got to actually set the camera on it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be why.
You see this one right there in the center, there wasn't much, but this will be, I think, a really pretty shelf to mount. And just, I don't know, maybe cut it in half, but I got a wall big enough to put the whole shelf on the inside where the logs are.
For sure. Yeah.
And make some matching brackets. I've got a really cool idea for the base for this, and then make matching brackets for the shelf.
Right. Let's set it upside down. Oh, look at the back. Yeah, there we go.
Put that side down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mill does a pretty decent job.
Yeah, when it was ripping through right here, I was like, man, this just picked up some steam because it's so thin right there.
Well, we didn't, that's one reason I wanted to do this, because as crooked as that board was and tapered, wouldn't have got a lot of dimensional lumber, but this way we didn't really have much waste.
Yeah, got a lot of pretty pieces too.
And so I'm gonna do one of two things. I'm either gonna take this up and to someone I know has a lumber mill local and they have kilns, and have them kiln dry it, or I'm planning on doing that this once the weather warms up about June anyway, and making a solar kiln to dry it. If I take it to the sawmill, he'll be able to dry these poplar slabs in probably a month and a half. Get them down around 12–10% moisture to where I can use them. If I do the solar kiln, I should be able to have them done by the end of summer, probably 2 or 3 months in a good solar kiln. Or third option is by air dry them. And down here in Georgia, it's humid. It is humid down here where we are. So the general rule of thumb is 1 inch per year. This is 2.5 inches. So I'd be looking somewhere around 3 years, really, by the time these will get dry enough to do anything with. And the other problem with that is air drying, the wood can reabsorb moisture. When you dry one in a kiln at a higher temperature, about 150 degrees, it actually breaks the cells. It pops the cells so they can't refill with water. So that it'll maintain a it won't absorb as much moisture. But even wood that's been cut down here for years, like I bet even those logs that's been cut for 200 years is still around 16% moisture because of how humid it is down here most of the time. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure and stay tuned, and here in probably a few months this fall, we'll be getting to work and building a new dining room table. By that time, hopefully